Hey everyone, what's going on? It's your girl Queen Kimmy from Kimmy_Queen of Crafts, and this is a WIP N Chat. WIP stands for Work in Progress, and of course, Chat stands for Chat. And I am working on this canvas. I got it from Amazon. It's a gnome. I'm not really a gnome person, but I saw this one and it was really cute. And so I'm working on, right now, I'm participating in 3 DP alongs. I'm participating in November, which this one's for that. I'm participating in DP for Vets, which this is my other one I'm working on for the DP for Vets. Let me show them now. Where'd it go? Right here. And then I'm doing one for Cool Seasons, which is too big to pull out. But just wanted to do a little chatting while I'm diamond painting, catch up, see what's going on. I know my channel, to me, is fairly new because I've recently started actively using it. I've had it for a while, but I don't know, I really like making videos and all of that, so it's something I plan on continuing to do. So let's go ahead and get started, just talking about what's going on. So I am using, and I showed this in one of my Amazon unboxings, I'm using this heart storage case. Let me pull that out. I have both the DP for Vets and the November kitted up in it because it has 60 bottles, but it actually, both diamond paintings had less than 30 colors in it. The covers I'm using, not covers, the trays I'm using are just these clear trays from Diamond Art Club. And then this is a pin that came along with the heart storage case. And it has a single placer and then of course a 6-placer. So I've been using this, and of course just a standard pink wax, nothing particular or special about that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, and of course I'd like to hear more from you in the comments about this, because this is just something with me personally. So for some reason, when the holidays come along, I get the worst anxiety, and I always go into like some sort of a depression, whether it's mild or severe. And I think there's a lot of things that contribute to it. One of them is that my mom is no longer here, and we used to, or I'm not going to say we, I have 6 brothers and sisters, so I'm not going to say everybody, but basically I spent a lot of time with my mom, holiday or not, especially during the holidays. We used to have a pretty close family where we get together and do a lot together and hang out, have fun, just kind of doing stuff like that. And things have changed a lot, and so basically we need our mom back here to pull everybody together again, because that was something that she was capable of. And if you ever met my mom, if you ever knew my mom, she was 5'1", but she was a firecracker. You could be 7 feet tall and she will jump in your face ready to fight you with no fear. And she protected her. She protected her children. She especially protected the grandkids. My 19-year-old remembers when my mom would try to do stuff for her, and I'm like, Mom, it's too late, blah, blah, blah. She would fuss at me and curse me out. And my 19-year-old at the time, she was probably like 2 or 3, was just like, wow, who's this lady coming in telling my mom what to do? Because, you know, I have my 19-year-old very disciplined. So for her to see me not saying something back to somebody else, it took her by surprise. But yeah, so long story short, for some reason, the holidays always give me the blues. I think it starts with my mom no longer being here, and then a previous job that I had, and for me, I'm just gonna say, I don't like to really say specifically where I work or used to work. I just say generally. So I've been in the banking industry for about 20 years. I could say 20 years. All of a sudden I feel old. But I've been in the banking industry since I was about 19, and I'm 38. And what I noticed is in the banking industry, um, around the holidays, people become very entitled. And when I say entitled, people really feel like because it's the holidays that like certain rules or regulations or laws or whatever wouldn't apply or shouldn't apply. So I'll give you an example. So Christmas. And this is what I would always say, and of course everybody at the company laughed at me. Christmas is on the same day every year. So let's say somebody came in to deposit their check. The check was placed on a hold, and we let them know it's going on a hold. And it never fails. We always got the same line. How could y'all do this to me at Christmas? Well, it being Christmas had nothing to do with it. What it had to do with was the fact that like the last 4 or 5 checks you deposited returned. And so some people would feel because it's Christmas, we should overlook whatever account activity they have and just give access to the money. And I always say, Christmas is on the same day every year. This would have happened no matter what day you brought it in. But I really saw a lot of, I guess the word is Grinches. A lot of people who were just, I don't know, the best word I could just use is entitled. Felt like we had to do something because it was Christmas. And it's like it being Christmas had nothing to do with it. Same thing with Thanksgiving or New Year's. And for me, that really, it would just rub me the wrong way. And when I say rub me the wrong way, like it would cause stress because it was so many people coming in, and it was the same thing with them. Had a horrible history of with their account, but just wanted things to be overlooked because it's Christmas. And I understand the spirit of Christmas supposed to be giving, loving, sharing, caring, but unfortunately that was not like what we received from customers. We got these really nasty, mean, unhappy customers. And so that coupled along with like my mom being gone, now the holidays just give me the blues. And it's so funny because I've been with my doctor for a long time, and whenever I go in like in November, she's like, I already know why you're here. And I'm like, no you don't. And she's like, the holidays are coming up and you're starting to feel down and out, so we're going to work through the same thing. It's a repeat pattern every year. I got to go to the doctor. I'm going to her and I'm like, and sometimes I forget it's the holiday. She reminds me. I'm like, I don't know why. My mood is off. I'm not feeling very well. And she's like, because it's the holidays. And I'll be like, oh yeah, it is the holidays. So she always has to help me work through the holidays, because I just automatically get the blues when they come up. And it really saddens me because like my husband loves Christmas, like loves. This is his favorite holiday. Every year he wants to go to the store and buy new decorations or more decorations, and then he wants to go all out for the kids and all that. And like it's hard for me to be present and enjoy that moment with him because I'm just down and out. So I try my hardest to still allow him the time to enjoy the holidays without me being, I guess you would say, a Grinch towards him. But like I said, I know that is one of the things he loves, and I don't want to take away what he loves about that. So, but yeah, so I'm saying all this because yesterday was one of the days that I just felt really, really, really down, and I could not shake it. And usually, okay, so your family knows you better than anybody else. And usually either my husband or my 19-year-old is like, oh, they could tell when those feelings are coming up. Like, especially my husband, like if I'm getting ready to have an anxiety attack, he can recognize it before it even starts. Like, he looks at me and he'll say, are you about to have an episode? That's what we call it, episode. Are you about to have an episode? And I'm like, how do you know? He's like, I know now. It's like, I guess. So if you've ever had a panic attack or an anxiety attack, sometimes you feel when they're coming on. And excuse my voice, I'm congested with all the weather changing and all that. But when you have an anxiety attack or a panic attack, you can feel them coming on. You feel them coming on. And so since I feel them coming on, my husband can recognize that in me and says like, are you about to have an episode? And I just look at him and he's like, okay, just calm down, start breathing, blah blah blah. Like, he tries to start from there, but I don't know, you have to go through it to understand it, because when you're looking at somebody having an anxiety attack, you probably just want to tell them like, just sit down, you're fine. But it's really not that fine. Like, the inside of you feels like you can't breathe, you're about to pass out, just so many different emotions. So yesterday I was just super down and super emotional, and I couldn't really shake it. And so my husband was trying just different things to try to help me get through what we call my episodes. And one thing that was missing was a 19-year-old. She wasn't home yesterday, and she works overnight and during the day at a couple of different places. So don't really see her much at all anyways, but she's another one that she recognizes when I'm having an episode, and she's able to come in and kind of help guide and coach me through it. And I didn't have that yesterday, and I was just messed up. That's the best way I could say it. I couldn't explain it. So I would like to know excuse me, if that ever happens to you, whether it's a certain time of year or at all. Do you have any issues when it comes to a certain time of year that brings up any emotions or things like that? Because as I said before in my only other WIP N Chat, when you're going through things like that, it kind of feels like you're the only one, because when you're looking out, everybody else looks like so normal. But the thing about that is you can really never see the struggle that somebody is going through personally. No matter how they look on the outside, on the inside, you have no idea what's going on. Like I said, I have 6 brothers and sisters, and I'm not close to any of them any longer. So I'm pretty sure that's taken a role in affecting me or impacting me. So yeah, that was yesterday. It started not yesterday, but the day before. Yesterday was the day I felt it really bad. I got up this morning kind of feeling that same way, but it wasn't as heavy as it was yesterday. So today I told myself that I would work on my diamond paintings and reach out through this channel to see, is it something that happens to you, and if it does, how do you deal with it? What are some of your, I don't know if secrets is the right word, but what are some of your remedies to helping you get through when you have these emotions? Yeah, so I'd like to know that. But that's really what's been going on with me. I gotta say this, I have lost 31 pounds. I am overweight. I've had a depression going on for many, many years, and I feel like I'm starting to come out of it. But throughout that depression, I gained a whole bunch of weight. And so I just randomly decided, let me get on this scale. And I have gone down 31 pounds. I have a lot more to go, but I have to celebrate this small victory. Um, and I could tell the difference because usually what happens is I get really bad back pain. But for Halloween, we took my 6-year-old trick-or-treating. She was Sonic, and I went with my niece. She's 17. But my niece and my 6-year-old are very, very close. And that is so weird to me because my niece, that's 17, she has a sister that I think is about 8, and they do not get along. My 19-year-old does not get along with my 6-year-old. But my 17-year-old niece and my 6-year-old daughter, like they were born to be sisters because they get along so well. Like they compromise, they agree on stuff. And when my niece comes over, my 6-year-old just sits in her lap the whole time because she just loves her so much, because she gives her so much attention. She's so nice and sweet to her. She doesn't have to fight with her the way she does with my 19-year-old. So we ended up going through their neighborhood to take her trick-or-treating. And when we walked around her neighborhood, we walked around for 2 hours. Normally, in about 20 minutes, my back pain is so bad that it's unbearable. But I actually walked around for 2 hours, and I have not done that in a long time. So I was really proud of myself because when we started walking, like my back was hurting a little bit. But one thing is, like, if I can get through the initial back pain, then I could still walk. Like, I don't mind, like, if I'm out of breath or if I'm tired from that, but like when it gets painful, that's when like I have to stop. So we walked around. It took about 2 hours, and then my niece's dad, her and my sister, I'm sorry, him and my sister are no longer married, but I'm still really close to him. He's a really good guy, really good to my niece. So he was like, hey, I know y'all are going trick-or-treating, but I made some tacos. So when you come back, make yourself at home. So we went trick-or-treating. We came back. We ate some tacos, and we were feeling good. So, like, that was so nice. And then my niece said she had a lot of fun with my daughter, and she told her, like, I would do this with her every year because I've had more fun with her than she did with her other friends that were her own age. So, yeah, it was really nice, you know. I was happy to be able to take my 6-year-old because I know how much she was looking forward to it. But she had a really, really good time, and they went through a few haunted houses. And the funny thing is, my 6-year-old was not scared at all in the haunted houses, and my 17-year-old niece was terrified. So my 6-year-old was comforting the 17-year-old. So I think that's so cute because they're like holding hands and they come out, and my niece is all breathing heavy, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? She's like, that was scary. And then my 6-year-old goes, no, it wasn't. So, I thank God for that. I feel like you should always thank God for the pleasant times that you have, or sometimes even the unpleasant times, because to me, those unpleasant times are meant to teach you lessons. Are you going to let it be a burden and just sit there and dwell on it, or are you going to be a lesson and see what you can take away from it? I used to be a dweller, a really, 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 really bad, heavy dweller. I still dwell a little bit, but nothing like I used to. Now what I give myself is like a 1-day rule. If something happens and I feel down or I feel out or I feel really sad or depressed or whatever it may be, I will cry it out overnight before I go to sleep. And then the next day I tell myself, okay, you cried it out, you dealt with it. So now it's time to move past it. Excuse me. You took, excuse me, y'all. You took the time to deal with it. And since you took that time, don't give it any more time or emotion. It's time to just deal with it by moving past it. And that's what I try to tell myself, because I could spend days dwelling on a situation. And I said this in my previous video, going to therapy made me realize that, like, it's not normal to sit and dwell on a situation for a very, very long time. I don't want to say it's not normal. I don't think that's the right words. It's not healthy. It's not good to sit in that place of mourning or upset or whatever it may be without dealing with it. And that's what I learned through therapy. So I've told myself now, like, okay, so um, I'll take one day to fully feel it and I'll cry it out or do whatever emotion I need to get it out. Then the next day, I just have to pick up and keep moving. And that's part of what I know that helps me get through, if I am having an episode of depression or anxiety. And then, of course, excuse me, working with my doctor and staying in touch with my doctor, keeping up with my progress. Another thing that happened was there was a change in one of my medication dosages, and I think that impacted me as well. So I have reached out to my doctor's office about that to see, does something else need to be done or changed or anything like that. But yeah, that was why I kind of wanted to come on, because we all have things that we're going through or that we go through, and don't let that be the end all be all. Take the little bit of time that you need to deal with and mourn or feel that upset for the situation. Like, don't fight it off. Let it pass through you. Cry it out if you need to. Do whatever it is you need to. Walk it out. But let it pass. It takes a little bit of time. It's going to happen for some people slowly. But it will pass. And if it doesn't pass, it gets a little bit easier to deal with. So, other than that, everything else is going good. My 6-year-old, she's doing great. She's growing. We ran into somebody that I used to be on the parent board when my daughter was in middle school. And she saw me back when I was pregnant with her. And she's like, "Is this little Queen?" And she's like, wow, she's tall. My 6-year-old, she is long, like her body is long. She's kind of like built like me. It's so funny. She's got these long limbs, and then she has her dad's wide feet. My husband has some really wide feet, and it's funny because when I was pregnant, my husband was like, she has to have what we call her their hands. Everybody in his family have the same hands and the same feet. Never seen anything like it in my whole life. But he's like, if she doesn't have these feet and these hands, this isn't my baby. I'm like, shut up, boy, because you're not the only parent. Well, when she was born, she literally had his hands and his feet, and that's all. Everything else she had was mine. She had the shape of my head, my whole face, just everything else she had was mine. So I found that to be hilarious, because my husband always says, like, she always looks like her mother to me. But when you start to see pictures of like his sister or other family members, you see the resemblance that she's starting to bear with them. But yeah, she's doing very well. She's being homeschooled, and homeschooling her is tough. Not just the homeschooling part, but like she could just be very difficult to deal with. And that's in her DNA. I have people in my family that are difficult to deal with. My husband have people in his family that are difficult to deal with. So it feels like she got that from both of us, both of our sides, because she could be very difficult to deal with, and it gets very frustrating. But she only wants to deal with me because mommy has more patience than daddy. So I give her a little bit more latitude than he does. So the good thing is that I can actually use it to my advantage, where I tell her, all right, if you don't stop, I'm going to have you finish with daddy. And she's like, no, mommy, no, I don't want to do it with daddy. He doesn't have any patience. So I'm like, all right, you better do your work then. So yeah, I could kind of use that to my advantage for her, to kind of get her where she needs to be when it comes to doing stuff. But yeah, she's doing very well. And the thing about her, and I think it's something that she may have gotten from me, is that she she seems like she's not paying attention. Um, but she is actually paying attention to everything. And that's the thing with me is like I have OCD and I cannot focus on one thing at one time. Um, I think I also have ADHD. These are self-diagnosed. I've never been diagnosed by a doctor, but I can't do one thing at once. So like if somebody's talking to me, I have to be doing something with my hands or something like that. Otherwise, I can't focus on what they're saying. So she's the same way. She does a lot of what looks like playing around, but when I go back and ask her the questions about school, she gets everything right. So that's what we're working on with her, is really making sure that she understands, and then making sure that she's passing the marker test where they're checking the progress of your child. And she's been doing very well. Now with her learning all her letters, she likes to come up to me randomly and go over what sounds they make, and I try to give her words that make that sound. So she's doing very well with homeschooling. And then of course my husband and I are working, and we're doing as best as we can do. Um, and then my 19-year-old, of course, she's working and paying her little bills and things like that. So she's doing good as well. So, I can't complain, but there's no point because I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. I know that there are people out there that have it way worse than I do, or I don't even want to say worse than I do. I know that there's people that have it out there bad, and there's people that have it out there worse. And I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of pop on and kind of go over some of the feelings I was feeling yesterday, and just say, it's okay to say that you're not okay. And it's okay to not be okay. But try not to stay in that place of not being okay, and look for those ways to work through it. And so I'm going to wrap it up. I didn't want it to be too long. Just wanted to do a little WIP N Chat as I'm working on my November. And if you have any questions, comments, emotional outbursts, please leave them down below. Please feel free to share what's going on with you, how you're doing. What gives you the blues? Is it a certain type of year? Is it a certain event? Uh, do you have a routine that keeps you from getting the blues? I would love to know that, because if I could do that, man. So if you like what I'm sharing, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and also hit that like button. And if no one's told you that they love you today, I love you. And ooh, I got the camera zoomed in, so it's hard. I'm sending you a heart.